Hey y'all, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about ability shards. Now, these are weird, right? So, in the beta, you could reset your ability tree every 30 minutes, and honestly that was stupid. Why was there a cooldown on beta? It was just stopping people from testing archetypes, right? Well, when we go to live, and this is already in beta, so probably most of you already know, but you're going to need to be getting ability shards, right? Now, how do you get ability shards? Dailies, like daily quests, things in the right side of your screen. You can get them. You can get 6 of them from the Recover the Past quest. I've heard you can get one from like your daily chest. And you might be able to get some from like raids and stuff. And right as live opens, you're going to be buying ability shards for 8 emerald blocks from a merchant in Debtless. But okay, what does that all mean? So you need 3 shards to reset your ability tree. Okay, and you can reset it infinitely in a town, right? Like you're not going to misclick and be screwed. You can freely change your tree in a town. Okay, but what this all means is that it's a bad system. Okay, because let's look at this thing. What is this actually doing? What is a system where you need to collect items to change your ability tree doing? Well, for one, it disincentivizes archetype experimentation. The whole selling point of the update being able to experiment with archetypes, it slightly undercuts that. Okay? And it's going to lower build diversity and variation as players only want to use general builds instead of specialized builds, because to use a specialized build, you're going to need to use 6 ability shards, right? 3 ability shards to switch to the specialized build, and then 3 more to switch back to your general build, as you do everything else, right? And now, what is absolutely silly about this is that this is the same mistake that was made with skill points, with 1 LE scrolls, right? But the whole point of the ability tree is that it's even more fundamental than that, right? See, Salted actually responded to a post about ability shards and explains that that making skill points freely resettable in 2.0 is not is good because builds are a fundamental part of the game, but the ability tree is I guess something else, not as closely related, but because you can change your build but not change your ability tree. But what's crazy about that is your ability tree is even more fundamental than your builds, right? Because what's crazy is you have archetypes that completely change how you're required to play the game. Like Fallen can't heal, so say you have a WFA build like with Fallen, that's not gonna work. You have to change your build to work with Fallen. Like, now you can freely change your build, but not really, because if you want to use another archetype, like, you can change your build all you want, but there's just some playstyles you cannot unlock with a build, right? And like Ritualist, like if you take Mask of the Lunatic instead of Mask of the Fanatic, you're losing out on double your EHP, right? And what's also crazy about this is, as Salted stated, this is an attempt to make ability tree resets feel more impactful and like weighty, And he's basing this off of Diablo 2, where you only got 3 resets your entire game lifetime, and if you messed up, you were left with a permanent stain on your account that you couldn't change your tree. And he's comparing it to Diablo 3, where he did not like the fact that you could just freely switch between them because he felt like it hindered player experimentation, right? Well, the difference here is that one, Wynn is not like Diablo 2, where players often switch playstyles, like, if not daily, every other day, right? And like there's some people who switch like multiple times a day, right? And that's like class builders like me, who are the ones who are actually going to be engaging the most with this archetype system, are going to have to deal with this arbitrary cost the most, right? And the sucky thing is you're going to need like a third-party system to plan out your tree, right? You can't easily do that in-game, you know? Likewise, there's hidden interactions in there. Like for instance, like if you take one single mask from the ritualist archetype, you can't use Nature's Jolt or Effigies from Summoner, right? You can't even use Uproot, right? Like, how do you know that before actually using it? You know, like you can't. But anyways, all this rant, and we're not even to the weird part yet. Because okay, this is supposed to make your resetting your ability tree feel weighty, right? That's not even what this is really gonna do. It's just gonna make resetting your ability tree annoying, and is going to push out build diversity for people who don't want to spend resources, right? Because like before, he was actually making it so that like you could only get ability shards after like 30 minutes of grinding. And by the way, this incentivizes being in a guild, because you can do weekly objectives and get 3 ability shards. But like, it was actually more weighty because you would only get 1 per daily completion. You couldn't get them from raids, right? And we weren't expecting to have a merchant and stuff. But now we do have all those things. We can get them from raids. We are getting them from dailies. We do have a merchant and debt list and stuff. And it's like, what was even the point, right? Like, why are you just making it annoying for us to switch our ability tree? Not like a weighty choice, like, and nobody wants a weighty choice. We would rather it be just freely resettable, like it is in Diablo 3, because it was good in Diablo 3. Because, okay, like, Salted claims that you weren't experimenting as much in Diablo 3, but like, I played Diablo 3. Like, I actually planned out like what abilities I would choose when I played Diablo 3. And it's an objectively better system for the player experience in Diablo 3 than in Diablo 2, right? Because it's better for the player to be able to freely reset their tree, right? And there's also in Diablo 3, there's just some abilities that were just objectively inferior to other abilities, right? And so you didn't try out the objectively inferior ability or you did try it out for a second, but then you realized, oh, this is objectively inferior to my other abilities, right? Or it requires a specific armor set to actually make it work, right? So you would switch back to what you were using. And that's what I feel like a system is even more apt for Wynn. Like, you may play Wynn, you may pick something and you realize, oh, this doesn't work for my playstyle, but then you have to spend resources to change it, and then you're not. The problem is the system is like is lukewarm, right? It's neither hot nor cold. You're a hot system would be actually making you have weight to your system, but it actually wouldn't be helping you, because it would just lower build diversity to an extreme extent and make people not want to experiment with archetypes, right? And a free system would be the cold end, or maybe the hot end, because everyone wants the free system, right? The free system makes it so that you can experiment. There would be build diversity. There would be the only thing that separates Wynncraft from a lot of other MMORPGs is the ability to experiment with your builds and your characters and stuff, and the extensive item system and archetype system, right? And that would be free, and everyone would benefit from that more and be able to experiment with that more. And if they wanted to plan out the tree, they could, right? Even though it's freely resettable, it's not preventing them from planning out their tree. right? But now, what you're doing is you're just making it annoying to experiment with the archetypes, right? You're gonna have to grind for a bit to experiment. You're gonna have to spend 24 emerald blocks every time you want to experiment. And like, again, that's not a high cost, right? Like, nor is it an exceedingly low cost. It's right in the middle of like a thing where if you did that often, you'd be spending several LE to change your archetype, and it's like, why are you just making it annoying to do that? Okay, but anyways, that's my archetype rant. Because like, in the future, what I assume is going to happen is they're just going to make ability shards come from every activity in the game, and then it's like, why even have ability shards in the first place? You know, like, why do we have those? Like, I get where Saltage is coming from, and it's actually nice as a player to hear that this wasn't a player retention thing. This was actually an attempt to improve the player experience. It's more just, I think that it's misguided. I don't think it's actually going to improve the player experience. Salted in his own post calls ability shards a quote-unquote bad system. But anyways, those are my thoughts about ability shards, and I'm super hyped for 2.0, and we'll be making 2.0 content when that comes out, and I look forward to seeing y'all there. I'm going to put a link to my 2.0 builds in the description. You know what I'm going to be wearing day one for 2.0. And I am excited to do build reviews and all that, reviewing the raid, tier lists, archetype comparisons, progression guides, all that stuff. I'm excited to do that. And yeah, I hope y'all have fun, and I hope y'all have fun when 2.0 drops.